Good afternoon, good morning, welcome. So glad to have you here with us today for our Engineering Tomorrow Renewable Energy event. We have a phenomenal keynote speaker for you today. We also have one of our amazing staff engineers to kick this off. So no matter where you are, when you're renewable energy lab, if you're just starting, if you finished, you're the right place today. Okay, I'm going to hand this over to Joanna Cottle to get us started.
Thank you, Jillian. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm honored to get to introduce our keynote speaker today. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Ludmilla Aristilde, a scientist who proves that curiosity, creativity, and care for the planet can go hand in hand. Growing up in Haiti, Ludmilla saw firsthand how pollution and deforestation affect everyday life, and that inspired her to use science to make a difference. Now, as a professor of civil and environmental engineering at Northwestern University, Dr. Aristilde combines chemistry, biology, and environmental science to study how microbes interact with pollutants and plastics. Ludmilla's path wasn't a straight line. She first studied art before diving into environmental engineering, but that mix of creativity and science has helped her think about problems in new ways. We really need creative thinkers. Today, we're going to hear that there's no one right way to become a scientist. You can start with art, curiosity, or concern for your community, and still end up changing the world. Everybody, please join me in welcoming Dr. Ludmilla Aristilde.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here. Let me share my slides. One second. Okay, it's showing. I'm so really excited to be and so happy to be here. I remember being in high school in Brooklyn. I know we have Medgar Evers High School here as well. And I went to high school in Brooklyn, and I would show a slide on that in a minute. But I remember going to Science Olympiad in high school and going to New York City and to Manhattan and just encountering other high schoolers in New York City and how excited it was for all of us to be involved in science. And so this is for me kind of full circle to be able to do this. So the title of my talk today is Engineering Tomorrow Using the Metabolic Power of Environmental Bacteria. From a child, when I used to be a child, I'm not a child anymore, but from a child that was curious about how soils make plants grow. That's kind of how my curiosity in science started. And now I work as an engineering professor, and hopefully I get to give you a little bit of my journey and also some of the science that we do now in my group. So as Joanna, thank you again for the wonderful introduction, mentioned that I also do art. So the illustration that you're seeing here for the science, those come from my sketches, illustrations that I've made. And because I'm so busy now, I pay an illustrator to bring my art to life because I don't get to do it myself anymore, because you will see in a minute so many things that I do now. Currently, I'm a professor in environmental engineering. I also have appointments by courtesy, which means that I'm affiliated with other departments at Northwestern University. Northwestern University is actually next to Chicago. It's in Evanston, Illinois. I will highlight where it is exactly in a minute. And I also affiliated with chemical and biological engineering, as well as the earth and planetary sciences. And you will see as I highlight my work where all these connections come from. Okay, so the work that I do that I'm going to present today in terms of the science, they are done by my group. I'm showing here pictures of my group over the years. You also get to see the evolution of my hair over the years. So if you're curious about that. So some of the pictures seeing, this is from kind of 2020 to 2021, 2024. And just you can see some people have kind of emerge or disappear because some people have graduated. So my group members, they made up of undergraduate students. I've had a couple of high school interns as well. We have also students that are getting their doctorate or their PhD, and we also have people who already have their doctorates and working as researchers. So who are we? We are a group of researchers who are excited to learn about the chemistry and biochemistry of organics in the environment, specifically within the context of carbon and nutrient cycling. And we study that within natural systems as well as engineered systems. And I'm going to highlight later those contexts and why that is important for sustainability. So where am I from? I'm actually from Haiti. And for those of you who might not know where Haiti is in the American continent, it is in the Caribbean. So next to Central America, between North and South America. A little bit of close up more. This is the island where Haiti is located. And on the east on the island, we have Dominican Republic. On the west of it, we have Haiti. And I grew up there until I was about early teens. And that's when I moved to the US and moved to Brooklyn. That's where I went to high school, as I mentioned before. So speaking of Brooklyn, I went to Samuel J. Tilden High School in Brooklyn, New York. And my high school was about 99% Black. And so you might actually, I'm going to highlight how getting from my high school and go to college, how culture shock it was for me, because my high school was about 50% Haitians. So I never spoke English for more than 4 hours when I was in my high school because all my friends were Haitians. And then my high school had about 45% Haitians, 50% Haitians, about 35% Jamaicans, and the rest were people who were different places from the islands. And from there, and I'm going to kind of, in my journey, kind of share how I end up being where I am now. I want to mention that both of my parents were teachers. So growing up in Haiti, I had both my father and my mother were teachers. My mother was a kindergarten school teacher, and my father was the equivalent on the French system to the American system will be elementary school and middle school teacher. That was my father. And so I grew up in a household where education was very important. And so I really admire how much my parents as teachers really invested in their community. So I felt that I really wanted to do something similar. I didn't know how that would look like, but I knew I wanted to do education. And the other thing I wanted to mention, besides my parents, who were kind of my inspiration, aspirations, I had an amazing high school guidance counselor who really believed in me. So when I went to Tilden High School, I didn't know anything about colleges, the type of colleges I should go to. And she's the one who said you should go to Cornell University. And as some of you, all of you, I'm sure know, Cornell is an Ivy League, but as a little girl from Haiti, I had no idea what an Ivy League school is. And she just told me that's where I should go because she felt that I had the grades and because I had interest in art and science. So when everybody will ask me where I'm going to college, I say I'm going to Cornell, not knowing that it is really hard to get it. So it's very good to have kind of dreams, and kind of ignorance is bliss. But that confidence paid off because I did end up going to Cornell University for undergrad. So I went from basically a high school that was 99% Black to going to Cornell that was barely 10% Black. And so that was a huge culture shock, but it was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed going to Cornell as an undergrad. It was a perfect school for me. I still have close friends right now from Cornell when I was an undergrad. That's still very close to me. Right now, just as a little bit of anecdote, with two of my closest friends, who I recently lost my mother 2 years ago. And when she was very sick, two of my closest friends from undergrad, we've been friends now for over 25 years, came for a weekend to help me take care of my mother. So I had very, very close friends there that they mean the world to me. So remember I said I never spoke English for more than 4 hours until in high school? Then I spoke English all the time at Cornell. And so from Cornell, I I had a lot of mentors again that really believed in me and really felt that just my investment into tutoring my peers and my investment in education and how much I really love research, that being a professor started to become something that I wanted to do. And so from Cornell, I went to UC Berkeley in California for grad school. And that's where I got my master's and my PhD. And then from there, so I still have kind of the immigrant mentality. You kind of apply for everything and you don't know where you're going to go. And so while I was at UC Berkeley for my master's and my PhD, I applied for a lot of scholarships and fellowships for my postdoc after getting my doctorate. A postdoc is where you become a researcher after you get your PhD or your doctorate. And so of all the things I applied for, I got 2 of them. So one of them was to go to Grenoble in France. It's called a Fulbright Scholarship. So I got that. I should mention that I became a US citizen while I was at UC Berkeley. So as a US citizen, I could apply for the scholarship. And then I also got a fellowship to go to Princeton to do my postdoctoral research there. So I ended up doing both. So I went to France for almost a year. And it was really nice to be back in a country where I could speak my language because French is my first language. So that was really fun. And then after I came back from France, I went to Princeton, which is in New Jersey, to do for 3 years to do my postdoctoral research. And from there, I was actually recruited to go back to Cornell to be a professor. So I was a professor at Cornell for about 7 years. And I never, ever in a million years would think that I would become a professor back to the place where I felt such a stranger almost a decade before. And then while I was at Cornell, you might ask yourself why I'm at Northwestern now, but during my 5th to 6th year at Cornell, I was recruited to go to Northwestern, which is where I am now. So this is my journey in terms of what I did, where I become. But now I'm a professor here at Northwestern. In environmental engineering, I was also a professor in environmental engineering at Cornell. So I've been a professor now for about 13 years. And now the science, you might be wondering. So that's my journey. So how did I become so curious about how plants grow? So in Haiti, we do a lot of agriculture. My father, in addition to being a teacher, he was also a farmer. So I was a daddy's girl. So I used to kind of follow him everywhere. And I was always curious about how do you start from a seed and you have a plant? Yes, plants need the sun, they need air, they need water, but I was always wondering, why are soils so important? And one of the questions I would ask myself at the time, I didn't think about myself as a scientist. I was just a curious little girl. And so I was just wondering, how do soils retain water for the plants? How do they return the nutrients for the plants and so on? And so that's what my group, we do now. So my research group, Aristilde research group, we study the chemistry and the biochemistry of these environmental processes. Specifically, how can we learn from the soil chemistry and the soil biology to actually develop engineering sustainable solutions? That's what we do. So we do this within the context of engineering solutions for agricultural productivity, engineering solutions for sustainability, and I'll highlight that as I go along, engineering solutions for ecosystem health, engineering solutions for potentially biotechnology. So that's what we do now, starting that curious little girl going to just plant seeds with my father. And one of the examples I want to show you, this is a simulation of a soil mineral. This is very, very small scale. And I'm going to see if this could play. And we are in this video here simulating water. The waters are in light blue. And the black, white, and red are organics. And the blue spheres, kind of fluorescent blue spheres, are metals. And this is showing water and organics within mineral, simulating water organics within the mineral. And we do this to understand the mechanisms of how organics actually trap water. So if you are an amateur gardener, some of you, I'm sure, plant some plants, you know, in your house or in your backyard. We know that organic materials retain water. What we study in my group is to try to understand how do they do that, why do they do that, so that we can engineer the systems potentially for better agricultural productivity. So another close-up of this, again, just to give you another view of this, we see the black here is the organic matter, the blue here, hopefully you can see my cursor. The blue here is the water, so you can see the water being trapped within the organics. So if you have the right amount of organics, it can trap water. So that's one of the things that we studied. For the rest of my talk, actually, I'm going to focus on biology. So this part was to give you a teaser on some of the chemistry that we do, but the rest of the talk is going to focus on how we study biology and how we can use the biology that we understand for engineering. So why do we care about soil microbes or soil bacteria, and how is that important within our everyday life? Hello? Oh, I think we're good. Yes, so what I want to start with, we've heard about climate change. We hear about how we put so much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. I want to highlight that the amount of carbon that's actually still trapped in the soil is about 4 times the amount that we have in the atmosphere. And this is very important. And the amount of carbon dioxide and methane, which are greenhouse gases, I'm sure you've heard of greenhouse gases. Those are the gases that trap the heat in our atmosphere. The amount that's actually being produced and generated by soil microbes just from the activity in the soil is actually 7 times more than what we get from humans. And the reason why we do, in fact, worry about what humans actually input in the environment, because that is above and beyond what nature. I think someone needs to mute their video. I can hear. Yeah, so the reason we are so interested in what humans add, it's because of the fact that it goes above and beyond of what nature, what happens naturally in the environment. So some of the things that I want to highlight here, the reason I'm highlighting the amount of that is in soil and the amount potentially of greenhouse gases that can be generated by microbes is because what actually disengage this huge carbon storage and turn it into greenhouse gases is metabolism in microbes. So there's a huge interest to try to understand microbial metabolism just within the context of understanding where carbon goes in the environment. But there's another interest of this, because the fact that carbon has a metabolism, in bacteria, we have carbon metabolism in bacteria, we can leverage this for engineering. And we've been doing this for over a century. One perfect example of this is during World War I, we've used bacterial metabolism to produce fuel, like ethanol, for example, acetone, for example, or hydrogen gas. So we use microbes for that. We currently, farmers in the Midwest, because I'm in the Midwest right now, use microbes as a natural way to combat against pathogens for agriculture. So microbes in soils have the potential to do this. We know that a lot of antibiotics that were discovered, over a century ago were also for microbes as well. And we know microbes also, and that's the part that we are very interested in, is how can we use microbes to use as biotechnology? What that means is we can use microbes in a way to produce chemicals in technology instead of using petroleum. We all know that our dependence on petroleum is dangerous. We can use waste that we generate as humans to make chemicals instead of relying on petroleum. That is the part that we are very interested in my group. Okay, so what have we done since using that? So now that I've showed you that microbes are very important in the context of natural carbon cycling, but also within the context of using biotechnology. So in my group for the past 13 years or so, we've studied of microbes within the context of Clostridium species, a type of microbes, Pseudomonas species, another type of microbes, Bacillus species is another type of bacteria that we study. Comomonas species is another type also we study. I'm highlighting here several different species of bacteria that we study for industrial purposes so that we have sustainable way to turn waste into potentially energy. So the two stories I have for you today for the rest of the talk, which will take another 15 minutes or so, is to understand how can we leverage or exploit bacterial metabolism of complex organics in the environment to recycle waste carbon into something that we can produce chemicals from. And then the last part that I'm sure you all will be interested in is how can we use bacteria that can degrade plastics naturally for recycling of plastics. So these are the two short stories I have for you for the rest of the talk. So starting with before I go into the stories, what are the techniques that we use? So we use techniques that can follow metabolites in so very, very small chemicals within the bacteria. That's what we do so that we can track what happens in terms of metabolism. And we use tracers, labeling. So we tag the carbon with different labels, and then we can track the label either a snapshot at one time or as a function of time. And I'm going to highlight that later. And that's how we understand what happens in terms of metabolism. So the first story, the question that we've been asking is, what are the mechanisms in carbon conversion from plant waste in soil bacteria? So we published this in different journals, and I'm just going to highlight some of the results so that you can see the metabolic power in bacteria and how we can use this for biotechnology. So the species I'm going to focus on of all the ones I highlighted earlier is Pseudomonas species. This is well-known bacterial species that are found everywhere in the environment. So why specifically these species? It's because they are everywhere in the environment, in soils, in waters. They are beneficial to plants, the specific ones that we studied, because they secrete metabolites, so small compounds that plants can use to gather nutrients around them. They also produce antifungal compounds, essentially like antibiotics. And they also can produce chemicals that we can use for to make industrial chemicals. And very importantly, they can use different types of waste carbons. They can eat sugars, they can eat acids, they can eat benzene ring, they can eat all different kinds of organic materials, and that's very attractive for us for biotechnology. So what I'm going to focus here is, why do we care so much about understanding metabolism? And we want to understand metabolism because the same way that we exert energy every day, when you get up this morning, you exert energy to get your body out of bed. You exert energy to eat your breakfast. You exert energy to walk to school. Bacteria also have to exert energy to do any of their metabolism. And so if we want to engineer bacteria to do very fancy things, we need to understand the energy that is associated with that. So that's what we've been working on for the past few years, is to understand the energy that is associated with metabolism in bacteria. And we do this by tracking the carbon, as I mentioned before, by looking at the labeling. And I'm not going to go over the details, but just wanted to show you that we can get different patterns that tells us about the metabolism. So from this, we can look at glucose. Glucose is a sugar. So we can look at the sugar and see how the metabolism of the sugar, how do they get energy from this? This is the energy currency. that they get from metabolism, and they get it, the circle I'm showing you here is showing different components of energy that they get. Just looking at the different colors, even don't worry about the names, we can see that they get energy from 3 different sources within their cell that I'm highlighting here in green, white, and in gray. But that's one type of organic material. So if we were to want to use a plant waste that has all kinds of organics in it, so it has sugars like cellulose, it also has very complex carbons. So we want to understand how do they get energy from these complex carbons. Okay, so then we do this as well. We track chemistry and biology. We track how they get this substrate. We get how they get energy from different complex carbons. And then that's another schematic I'm showing you that's different from the first one. And we can see here that the circle that I showed you before is different from this circle. That means that they're getting the energy here in a different way from different sources. And that's super important because that tells us that if we're given one type of waste like sugars, glucose, you get one way that they're getting the energy. But if you have a different type of waste, like this I'm showing here, vanillate, which is a different type of organic sources, you get the energy in a different way. And why this is so important, because then it tells us how can we predict what kind of waste we can use and how the bacteria will use different energy to turn that into something valuable for us, for our society, for sustainability. Okay, so then the second story that I have, which is on the plastics, and that's why I'm gonna end today, is trying to understand how do bacteria degrade plastics and use it as a source of food. Even though we know that plastics, they degrade very slowly in the environment, and that is why they last so long, there are bacteria in the environment that are slowly doing that. And if we can understand how this bacteria that can actually degrade some of the plastics, how do they work, then we can engineer this bacteria to do it and potentially use it as a way to get rid of our plastics problem. So that's what we did. We looked at another species now called Comomonas, and how do they actually grow on plastics and how do they degrade on plastic? And I'm going to show you some cool pictures very soon. And before I go into that, why we're studying Comomonas specifically, this species, is because, again, they're widely found in soils, in ponds, in freshwater, specifically in places that have complex carbon, so very difficult to use carbon sources. But the other thing that makes the species unique, they're found in wastewater. So anytime a place that you have wastewater that have complex carbons, these species are widely found. And they were also found to be in plastic particles that you would find in the rivers that are polluted. And so because of that, there was a thought in my group, potentially this bacteria might have the ability to degrade plastics, and that's why they found on plastics particles. So the plastic specifically that we're focusing on is called polyethylene terephthalate, or PET. And this is the type of plastic you find in plastic bags when you go grocery shopping, for example. This is the type of plastics you find in water bottles. And so if you were to look at different types of plastics, in orange here, half of the plastics are found in microplastics. It's PET. This is the chemistry of it. If you were to look at fibers, microplastic fibers are found in the ocean, or if you live in a city, in the river around your city, they're mostly made of this plastic type called PET. Okay, so then what we did, we took this one of these bacterial species from this group of bacteria, we expose it to the plastics, and I'm going to show you very cool how they're degrading the plastic. So this is our starting plastics with no bacteria, and then this is with the bacterial cells. You can see how they're degrading the plastics, and then this is again showing clearly how they're degrading these plastics, and this happened within 6 weeks. So it's a very long exposure, but they are able to do it. And then if we were to look further and analyze further what's going on, we see that the plastic started as a microplastic, so very, very small little pellets. and then the bacteria break it into nanoplastics, so even smaller fragments. And that's what I'm showing here in the image. So it was very nice. Wow, they can do this, but how do they do this? That's why we want to know, and that's what's important. And so to do this, we use this technique that can allow us to look at potential enzymes. So enzymes or machinery within the cell that can actually act as ways to break down the plastics. And then when we look, we found one that was detected. And then when we use chemistry, molecular chemistry, to find the structure of that one particular enzyme, we realize, aha, it has the chemistry and the binding structure to be able to degrade that plastic. And to actually prove this, we took that enzyme, the gene for that enzyme, we remove it from the bacteria. And when we did this, the bacteria, when they were not able to degrade the plastic. So that was a way to confirm, indeed, that was the enzyme that was important. So this work got a lot of news coverage. It was covered by the Washington Post. It was covered by the Chicago Times. So it's really nice for my students to get the recognition of all the work for this, because we found not only the bacteria can do this, but we found how do they do this and what is it in their machinery that does this. So on this note, I want to kind of wrap up the plastics we were able to show. I only show you kind of like just a little preview of this work, but we were able to show that we start with these plastics that you find in water bottles, that this type of bacteria can degrade it into very small nanoparticles. They can grow on it. They can further eat it, and eventually they come up with a little small compound that comes from the plastic that they use to grow on. And this is what I'm showing here. They can grow on this compound that they get at the end. This is it here. They eat it and then they grow on it. So that's really cool to see that they can grow on these plastics and use it as a source of food. And I hope that I didn't bore you too much, that I got too excited to give you some just exciting views into what we do and how important that biochemistry is, how important chemistry is, how important it is that we have nature-based solutions. So all around us, we have things are happening in nature that can really teach us how to develop sustainable solutions for our future as a society. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Ludmilla. What an interesting approach to this huge problem. I guess I wanted to make sure I understood, and we have a question from Mr. Lee's class from Montebello High School. A student, Sophia, asks, do all plastics have bacteria? And if so, is it bad for us? But I think, do I understand what you're saying is you're finding this enzyme in certain kinds of bacteria that actually like to eat plastic. They like to live off that plastic.
Yes, exactly. I should say that bacteria are everywhere. We just can't see them. So me sitting here and you sitting in your classroom, your bacteria, I know we don't want to think about this, but we have bacteria on our face, in our hair, microbes are everywhere. It's just that not all microbes, of course, are detrimental to us, right? So they're not all pathogenic. We live in symbiosis, or I would say microbes live in symbiosis with us. So they're everywhere. So having a microbe somewhere doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Specifically for the plastic, any surfaces that you will have microbes on them. What was specific about these bacterial species, because it was consistently found that if you were to, because I skipped some steps, if you were to basically examine the population of bacteria that is on these plastics, they found this particular class of bacteria were always there. So because of that, then people started to think, well, perhaps it could mean two things. It could mean that perhaps they're partnering with someone else that allows them to eat the plastics, or they're just tagging along, they're not actually eating the plastic. So That's why we wanted to do this study to figure out. And then lo and behold, we found that they actually have a machinery, they have the enzyme that inside them that can allow them to break down the plastics. And the other thing that I want to say is, because the journalists, they always ask me, can we use this and dump it in the ocean and solve our plastics problem? I want to say that microbes are microscopic. It's in their name. They're microbes. They're very small. Us humans are very big, right? So they're eating it to feed themselves, not for us, right? So the amount, that's why they do it so slowly. The degradation that I show you was over 6 weeks of experiments, but that is plenty for them. They're eating 1% of that plastic, less than 1%. But that is completely fine because they are growing their microscopic bodies. But we wanted to do it, we want the microbes to do it at a scale that is much larger and at a rate that is much faster for us, for our society. And that requires engineering.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Does that mean you might have to engineer this enzyme?
Yes, you could put it, I just want to, somebody is asking to enter the room. I don't know if
You don't need to do that. Our team will take care of that.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so there are two ways that this could be addressed. We could address it because we don't want to put engineering organisms everywhere, right, in our environment. So we could do this in a bioreactor, so something that is controlled. So a lot of times what people do, they would put the bacteria into a host that we know that's safe. So the bacteria, sorry, the enzyme. So once we know the enzyme and we know the gene that actually makes that enzyme, we can take that and put it in another bacteria that we know it's safe, or another bacteria that is easier to engineer to do what we want to do.
Great. Yeah, we're getting a few questions on can we make this a practical situation, and how long would it take to degrade the plastic? I think I heard you say 6 weeks.
So what I showed was 6 weeks, but 6 weeks for less than for about 1 to 2%.
Okay.
Of the total plastic that we had there, that was 1 gram per liter.
Okay.
Right. And so this is naturally, the thing I want to highlight is we did zero engineering. This is very important. This is naturally being made. This is amazing, right? I know it sounds like they're not doing much, but this is being done with zero engineering, because a lot of time people do extensive engineering to get the microbe to do this. And my lab, what gets us excited is to really uncover things in the environment that's already happening to guide us for engineering purposes.
Yes, you're kind of discovering the science behind it, and now engineering teams.
Yeah.
Carla from Harlington High School has asked, have you developed a sustainable process to engineer this plastic degradation? But that's what comes next, right? That's why we need engineers to help us figure out how to make this into a tool that will degrade plastic, right?
Yeah. So for my interest specifically, so there are different interests in terms of degrading plastic. I'm specifically interested in using plastics to make plastics. That's one of kind of my, I would say, dream goals is, can we use plastic waste and use bacteria to convert that carbon waste into a into a chemical that can be used as a precursor that we can basically lodge into the industrial chemical complex, production complex, to make plastics instead of using petroleum. That's kind of my ultimate dream goals of my research, is to essentially use waste carbons to make things that are valuable to us. That requires a lot more work. I mean, I'm starting my group is kind of like one, if you were to think of an assembly line, we're like one step in the assembly line that we are trying to understand the science, that other people can leverage this, because we do chemical engineering science, environmental engineering science. There are metabolic engineers that can take this further. There are process engineers that can take this further. There's synthetic biologists that can, essentially manipulate cells to take this further.
It's kind of an exciting discovery, and I think we're getting some questions about kind of what comes next. Riverside Academy in Buffalo has asked, how could you take this further?
Yes, so I have currently three PhD students in my group. One is a fourth-year student, one is second year, and one just started in my group. And they're all in different ways are trying to understand how do we use the same bacteria that I showed to look at other types of plastics. I only showed you one type of plastics, right? So we're studying how do the metabolism, because that's super important, because I didn't show you, I just showed you how to degrade the plastics. What we really want to understand is the machinery inside them that can convert it to other chemicals of interest. And so we are very interested in other types of plastics that really persist in the environment. So that's a big next step for us. Another big next step for us is these bacteria can make polymers. So plastic is a polymer at the end of the day. So polymer is a long chain of complex carbons that are linked together that have similar monomers, smaller components that are linked together. That's how we make plastic materials. And so these bacteria can make polymers naturally. So one next step is to try to understand the metabolism of other types of plastics waste carbons. Another next step is to understand how do we link that conversion, that metabolic conversion, to making these polymers that actually have very high value industrially. So that's kind of another next step that we have in this process.
That would be amazing to make waste plastic or to have that waste carbon then be turned into something useful.
Exactly.
How exciting.
Yes.
Speaking of exciting, I think we would love to show you some of the work that students have been doing. If you wouldn't mind, stop sharing for a minute. We will go to Medgar Evers College, where we're going to see what students have been doing today.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. Do we have somebody who wants to present their designs to Dr. Aristilde?
Yes, I like to show, I like Montebello High School, would like to show.
Yes, Medgar is ready whenever you are.
We're here, Jerry. Hello, Jerry Dawes. It's wonderful to hear your voice and to be there at Medgar Evers. Can we hear what you've been up to today?
First of all, we want to say thank you to Dr. Aristilde. We're here in Brooklyn, New York, Medgar Evers College. Everyone, give her a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
So today was Renewable Energy Event Day. And I don't know if you could see on the table in front some of the solar circuits.
I can see the students, but not the, if we turn the camera to the left.
All right, I'm going to get some help doing that right now. So while we do that, Dr. Aristilde, I just want to let you know the high schools that are represented here. So we've got Brooklyn Tech in the house.
Nice.
Marcus Garvey Collegiate. Eagle Academy. James Madison.
Nice.
Mandela.
They left. They had to leave early.
And they have to leave early. And Medgar Evers College Prep. Yeah. Be amazed at the solar and the wind circuits that were built by these students.
That's amazing.
In less than an hour.
That's amazing.
All right, so any presenters want to come forward, please?
Come on, two people come forward. I want to see your amazing design.
Real quickly.
I'm just amazed at how beautiful these structures are after only 1 hour of building. Amazing.
That is really amazing. I remember going to Science Olympiad when I was in high school in Brooklyn. And
This morning they heard from Dr. Julius Garvey. This morning they heard from Dr. Julius Garvey, the son of Marcus Garvey, who kind of gave them an overview. And then we had amazing ET engineers give some instructions. And next thing you know, they built some beautiful wind and solar powered circuits. So now, students, I'd love for you to introduce yourselves, please.
Yeah, Jerry, could they bring their design a little closer to this camera that we're viewing through? Just, it's still a little far away. If we could
Like at the
see,
other end of the table, you will be
Yeah.
closer to me.
Go on up, grab it and then come on over
If
and
you
talk to the
just
camera.
grab your circuit and walk over to the camera, please.
Want to give a quick shout out and hello to Mr. Martinez.
Hi. This is exciting.
All right. Can you see us there?
Yes.
a little, yeah,
Come closer, come closer.
Yeah.
Just go straight in front of
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. If you could introduce yourselves, give your names, and then talk about your strategy and your design, please.
Okay, so hi, my name is Jada. My name is Ariana. My name, where to go?
Please.
Oh, my name is Desiree.
My name is
Hi.
Joseph.
Hi.
So basically what we did here is, okay, this is the back, sorry. So basically what we did here is that we had made like 2 renewable energy things
Mhm.
where the top is a like a wind turbine, and we also have a solar panel on here. So our idea was that we wanted to be like a house where like you have like the first floor and there's like a light in the first floor, and we use the solar energy for the first floor light, and then for the top we wanted to be the wind turbine light. And yeah, so you have 2 floors.
Yeah, I love it. I love the multifaceted thinking, you know, like if you have sun or if you have wind, you want to take advantage of both renewable energy.
I know, I think that's so smart because I think in the daytime when you're downstairs and you're working, you might want that light downstairs in the kitchen and where you're living. But when you get ready to go upstairs and go to bed, that's when, the wind can blow at a higher speed at night, actually. So you actually will get some good energy out of your wind turbine at night. So good,
Yeah.
good
That's
thinking on that.
amazing. That's good thinking. Yes. Congrats.
All right.
Amazing.
All right. Thank you, team number 1. Round of applause, please.
Yeah,
All right.
go back up that side.
Wanting to present. Fucking please come on up.
Hi.
Just
Hi.
introduce yourself. If you could just give your names, please.
All right.
And school. And school.
Hi, my name's Aiden Bavgins. I'm from Eagle Academy, Brooklyn.
My name is
Hi.
Jacob. I'm also from Eagle Academy, Brooklyn.
Hi.
I as well am from Eagle Academy, Brooklyn. Speak up.
All right. If you could
Nice
just
meeting
on
you
your
all.
circuit.
This is our little hut. We call it Shrek's hut.
I love the name.
What we did for this was we took popsicle sticks and we lined them up, and then we put tape on it so that it would be able to curve around the base that we made.
Mm-hmm.
Then we made a little doorway, and then we put the propeller on it like to be a sort of windmill thing.
Mm-hmm. I can hear you.
And
Yeah.
then
Do you want to
our
move the project up so I can see it on the video? Yeah, there you go.
all right. And our lights are right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a functional property, not the prettiest, but functional.
Function is good. Function is good.
Yeah, we didn't get time to finish the roof, so this is what we were left with.
As Constructor Sure while standing
Are
up.
the lights powered by the solar panel?
Yeah, it's powered by the solar panel and the wind turbine.
Got it. Got it.
One
Awesome.
for each.
All right. Round of applause for this team.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You can go off that.
Thank you.
All right. We got 2 more teams. All right. If you guys could just introduce yourselves, please give your names.
Hi.
Millie Nakarmi.
My name is Sophia Davis.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Bob Sharp. And we're
Hi.
from Edgar Evers College Preparatory School. And
Mhm.
we made a farmhouse to specifically absorb solar energy to power this light bulb and wind energy to power this light bulb in the inside. And the objective of this was to just use like renewable energy sources without like having to plug anything inside. So this side of the house would be oriented towards the south in order to absorb the most sunlight energy.
If we were in the United States.
Yeah, if we were in the United States. And
Yep.
we used like craft sticks and wires and a LED bulb in order to test out if this would work.
Awesome. That's
Alright.
great.
Thanks
And
a
then
lot, guys.
No,
Yeah,
I have
well
a quick
done, and-
question. A quick question.
Oh, yeah.
You have a
Yeah,
question?
so
Okay, Aristilde,
your-
question.
And then we have another team, right? I just had a quick question. Your solar, are you orienting it in the direction on purpose? Your solar panel?
Oh, we did the south specifically because in the United States, like the south area gets the most sunlight throughout the whole day. So
Yeah.
even though, like it starts and ends during the east and west, the specific area of the south, like we learned it in class that that specific area would get the most like the most sunlight.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. This is why when I buy a home, I always try to face south and west. So, amazing. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you very much, Lynn. All right, so we got two more teams. All right, if you guys could introduce yourselves and tell us your names and the school you're representing.
My name
Hi.
is Richards. My name is Aristilde Saleh, and we're from Eagle Academy at Ocean Hill.
Mhm.
We made this hut inspired by Gravity Falls. It's kind of like a farm energy hut, and we put the solar panels up top so that it could absorb the most amount of energy, as well as the wind turbine. We kind of elevated it a little bit rather than just like having it somewhere below or just Make sure it gets the most wind. yeah.
Mhm.
And this kind of fell off. It was supposed to be glued here, but it fell off, so we couldn't really do much about it. But yeah, this is our little hut.
And you have two, it seems like you have two solar panels. Is it just one? On
Yeah,
the
it's
other side also? Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have two.
both one. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
No,
Yeah.
that's nice because you're gonna get the maximal amount of exposure
Yeah.
by having it.
I would
I
say
love how
cool.
I
would
love
say-
how this design thinks about you know, how you could do this in a developing country. You know, you could easily get power to people in remote communities with this kind of technology. So I loved how you were thinking about that in your design as well.
Thanks, I appreciate
Very
it.
cool. Congrats.
Thank you,
Thanks for
guys.
Thank you very much,
sharing.
guys. All right, thanks. All right, so we have one more team. All right, if you guys could just introduce yourselves, give us your names, and give us the school that you're representing.
We're looking here. My name is Yasmin.
Oh, my name is Jordan. I like to work
Hi.
from Collegiate. Oh, okay. So we made this, like, at first we used a few popsicle sticks at the bottom to make like the bottom of the house or whatever. And the stand, like, it was supposed to be kind of like outwards, but it's kind of fragile. So that's and we
It's
put the
less
light-
than 1 hour, you know. You've done amazing.
Yeah, it's cute. It's the best. So we got the lights in the inside, but we wanted the blow dryer to show y'all how it would like really light up inside. Kind of look like LED lights if y'all know. Oh, y'all got the blow dryer?
Yeah.
Okay.
have to come down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You want to do a live demo?
Yeah, I want to show y'all, cause and then the
All right, so we're gonna have a live demo.
Yeah, well, I really love the
Nice.
aesthetic design. Don't
Yes.
you, Ludmilla?
Yes, we
Yeah.
was going
Yes,
for
there is some
that.
aesthetics. There is some fashion design going on here.
And the wind circuit and the solar panel lights up the inside of the house.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is. Wait, can y'all see?
Oh, I see something turning.
Yeah.
Can you move it to your right? The project to your right? There we go.
There we go. Woo!
Yeah, very cool.
Great. That's
Oh,
great.
yeah,
Well
I
done.
see it.
It's
Very nice. It's
I
actually
feel like I'm ready to go
operating. I see a
dancing.
light.
But that's what we did. That's our presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you,
congrats.
thank you.
Thank you.
And you do all this in the past hour? In like an hour?
Yes, we had a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
were
know.
very busy. Good work.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Congrats. Thanks
Yeah.
you so much for sharing.
Thank you. And congratulations to everybody
all did
there today at
amazing.
Medgar Evers College. And shout out to my friends Jerry and all the Engineering
John,
Tomorrow team.
Edgar, Owen, James, we got a whole team here.
got the dream
Edgar
team
Evers
there.
in partnership with Marcus Garvey Academy, in partnership with Medgar Evers, Engineering Tomorrow. Great job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was
And now
amazing.
we're going to the out to the West Coast, the amazing
All
Montebello
right.
High School out in California, and
Hi.
we're excited
High
to talk to you
School.
all.
Present you the star right here. Come on.
All right, so my name is Adrian Oches, and I come here at MHS, Montebello High School.
My name is Eileen Flores.
Loud.
My name is Josué.
My name's Ricardo.
Mhm.
All right, and we're gonna show you like wind power. So what we found out is that if we use like our mouth to blow into the fan, it only lights up one light. But if we use like a stronger like current, it lights up both. So
Mhm.
Okay.
That's great. Can you
Like
move the project up so I can see?
Yeah, thanks for the camera getting.
all right, this is theirs.
All right,
Nice
next up.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Adam. No.
Go ahead.
So we built a house, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And then right here we have the little fan, and then we have
The solar panel right here, and then the lights are right.
So when the sun goes on it, the light turns on, or you can
Mhm.
also use that, like a blow dryer.
That's fine. That's good. And the
Here
last
we
one.
Yeah,
go.
very cool.
Oh, well,
Amazing.
yes, very well
Congrats, you
done. Way to
guys.
work as a team. And thank you so much, Mr. Lee. Amazing work.
This is really nice. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that was exciting.
I know our time is nearly done. I guess maybe we had several questions, and I think maybe one that a lot of
I can
students
stay
might,
a few more minutes if needed.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of students might be interested in who your mentors were, because it seems like you had, you must have had in your journey to all the different schools, you must have had
Mhm.
many mentors. How did they help you along the way, and how did you find them?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So very quickly, because I could literally have a whole talk just on that. So I think starting from Haiti, I mentioned already my parents. They're both are no longer alive, but they still live in me. I carry their legacy in me. And I had an uncle on my mom's side. That's how I became an artist. Because he would paint with me since I was like 4 years old, and I was very close to him. And then the science, I think, is just like my dad always said that, he wished that, even though he went, he became a teacher and he actually had a law degree, but he always said like he wished he had got into science. So I think I just kind of continue that. But a very, I would say, pivotal person in my life, Miss Corbego, was a Jamaican, my chemistry teacher in high school from Jamaica, a Jamaican chemistry high school teacher, Miss Corbego. And actually, a few years ago, she reached out to me. She found me somehow when I was a professor at Cornell, and I was amazing because I hadn't talked to her in like almost 15 years or something. And so Miss Corbego was very pivotal. She was my AP chemistry high school teacher, and she really invested in us and instilled in us, and I fell in love with chemistry being in Miss Corbego's class. So I still remember her. So that was in high school. And then in college, I had two professors that were very important to me. So as I mentioned, I went back to Cornell and be a professor. So these professors become my colleagues 10 years later. But they really kind of invested in me. And I think also things happen to you along the way. So it's good to have people that invest in you intellectually, but also personally. So I lost my dad when I was in college, and these professors were really kind of like, I would say, it was, it's hard to be so young and dealing with such a big loss. And so they really invested in me quite a bit, and really felt that I could become, like one of them say, I can see you as a professor later. And at the time I was, I don't know, 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. So these people, and I'm still in touch with them. And so these people, they're all retired now, was a huge, played a big role in my kind of early life. And then it continues. And then when you go to grad school, your mentor, the person who's your kind of your advisor, it's a lifetime relationship, And so at Berkeley, and also I want to mention that it's very important. This is one of the advice that my dad gave me when I was younger, and I will give all of you this advice: choose your friends and do not let your friends choose you. And the way he said that is the friends that you have. Like I'm talking about kind of the intellectual mentors, but the people that you have around your life, the people that are your friends, they do make a big impact into who you are, where you don't go, where you end up going. So I want to say that I had just amazing friends also. Like I have friends that have been my friends for 25 years, 26 years. And I grew up with my friends. I remember when I was 6 years or 7 years old, my parents will have friends they've had for 30 years, 40 years. And I always, at the time, I used to think, how do they have these friends for so long? But I understand, like it really, it's a support system that you have beyond just your teachers and your mentors. These are your peer mentors. And I want to say that it's very important. And sometimes you have to leave friends along the way for your own health. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight that. If you forget everything I say today, make sure that you have the right people around you. Yeah.
I think that's such wonderful advice. And I think what I take away from that beautiful story that you just shared is, students, don't be afraid to go up to your teachers and ask for help. They can share their wisdom, and they can share their advice, and they can be invaluable to you and
Yeah.
your friends as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Dr. Aristilde, I just want to thank you so much for your remarks today, and good luck with the amazing work that you're doing. We're going to keep following you and waiting for that amazing breakthrough where, we're not going to have to worry about plastics anymore. So
Oh,
thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much. It was, just wanted to say thank you for all of you who joined in. It was really a privilege for me to be here. And so thank you again for the invitation to begin with from Engineering Tomorrow. And it means the world to me to be here. So bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
What a treat. Thank you so much. Guys, we hope to see you at our next event. It's coming up on November 14th for Humanitarian Engineering. Please submit those exit tickets, and we hope to see you soon. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.